must tell you, I've always had a profound respect and appreciation for lawyers. The first lawyer that I ever met was a man named Fred Gray. He was a lawyer for Dr. King, the lawyer for Rosa Parks. After I finished high school in May of 1957, at the age of 17, I wanted to attend a little school called Troy State College. It is now known as Troy University. Only about 10 miles from my house. Submitted an application, my high school transcript. I never heard a word from the college. It didn't admit black students. So I wrote a letter to Martin Luther King Jr. and told him I wanted to attend Troy State College. Dr. King wrote me back, sent me a round-trip Greyhound bus ticket, and invited me to come to Montgomery. In the meantime, I had been accepted at a little college in Nashville, Tennessee. Uncle of mine gave me $100, more money than I ever had. Gave me a foot locker, put my books, my clothing, everything at our home, except those chickens in that foot locker. And went off to school to Nashville. And after being in Nashville for about 2 weeks, I told one of my teachers that I've been in contact with Martin Luther King Jr. This teacher was a friend of Dr. King. They both had attended Morehouse College here in Atlanta. He informed Dr. King that I was in school in Nashville. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. got back in touch and suggested when I was home for spring break to come and see him. In March 1958, by this time I'm 18 years old, my father drove me to the Greyhound bus station. I boarded the bus, traveled 50 miles from Troy to Montgomery. At the Greyhound bus station, Fred Gray met me and drove me to a little church, pastored by Reverend Ralph Abernathy, a colleague of Dr. King, and ushered me into the office of the church. And I saw Martin Luther King Jr. and Ralph Abernathy standing behind a desk. Dr. King said, "Are you the boy from Troy? Are you John Lewis?" And I spoke up and said, "Dr. King, I'm John Robert Lewis." I gave my whole name. And that was the beginning. The Mayan Association with Martin Luther King Jr. and Attorney Fred Gray. Fred Gray represented us during the Freedom Rides, protesting Selma, Birmingham, and Montgomery. We went to jail for sitting down and sitting in. It was a member of the bar came to our rescue. It was the lawyers of the Civil Rights Movement who helped us bring about what I like to call a nonviolent revolution. A revolution under the rule of law. A revolution of values. A revolution of ideas. It hadn't been for lawyers. Hadn't been for members of the bar, the Civil Rights Movement would have been like a bird without wings. Back in 1960, in 1961, 1963, and 4 and 5, we didn't have a website. Many of us didn't even have a fax machine. We didn't have a cellular telephone. We had ourselves. We had the rule of law. We put our bodies on the line to challenge the nation's commitment to justice. We put our bodies on the line to test this nation's belief in the dignity of all humankind. Some of us just didn't wake up one morning and said, we're going to sit in. Are we going to go on the Freedom Ride? Are we going to march on Washington? Are we going to march from Selma to Montgomery? Are we going to organize people to register to vote? We trained. We prepared ourselves. Many of us as young people, as students, high school students, college students, we studied the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence. We studied Thoreau and civil disobedience. We studied the great religions of the world. many of us grew to accept nonviolence. Not simply as a technique or as a tactic, but as a way of life, as a way of living. We grew to respect the dignity and the worth of all humanity. When you accept nonviolence simply as a technique or as a tactic, it becomes like a faucet. You can turn it on and you can turn it off. When you accept the philosophy and the discipline of nonviolence as a way of life, as a way of living, become one of those immutable principles that you cannot and must not deviate. We wanted to redeem the soul of America. We wanted to create a beloved community. We wanted to create a truly interracial democracy. I got arrested a few times, as Wayne told you. We were arrested on trump-up charges, but we were obeying the law, sometimes a much higher law. We were accused of disturbing the peace, but we were peaceful and nonviolent. I got arrested on the first time on February 27, 1960. 20 years old, had all of my hair, a few pounds lighter, just sitting down at a lunch counter, working on a paper, reading a book. Some of us looking straight ahead. And someone would come up and spit on us, light the cigarettes out in our hair or down our backs, pour hot water on us, beat us. But we didn't strike back. We went to jail. Between 1960 and 1966, I was arrested and jailed 40 times. But I must tell you, today, I don't hold any malice or ill feeling toward the people that arrested me or the people that left me for dead at the Greyhound bus station in May of 1961 during the Freedom Ride. Or for the state trooper that beat me and many others on the bridge on March 7, 1965, where I had a concussion and thought I was going to die. We must have the power to negotiate, the power to forgive, the power to build a sense of community, to build a sense of one family, to build a sense of one house. I want to thank you as members of the bar for all that you've done and continue to do to create a more just and open society, to solve conflict through peaceful and nonviolent means. We've come a distance. We made a lot of progress. Sometimes I hear some young people saying, nothing has changed. I feel like saying, come and walk in my shoes. And I'll show you. Walk in my shoes. I was growing up, I saw those signs that said white men, white women, colored women, white waiting, colored waiting. Saturday afternoon, we would go downtown to the theater, and all of us little black children had to go upstairs to the back. And all of the little white children went downstairs to the first floor. I would come home, I would ask my mother, my father, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, why segregation, why racial discrimination? And they would say, that's the way it is. Don't get in the way, don't get in trouble. But I was inspired to get in the way, to get in trouble. I got in trouble. It was good trouble. It was necessary trouble. And as lawyer, you must continue to get in trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble, to make our country what our country should be. Here in America, in the Congress, on the state level, all of this debate about immigration reform. Putting people down because they speak a different language. because they don't look like many of us, because they're coming here. We all live in the same house. Call it the American house, call it the world house. The demagoguery of this issue, lawyers must say it must end. And it would be good of the American Bar Association. I don't know what section would take a position, but somebody, someplace must cry, and lawyers can play that role and say, let's lower the temperature. As a nation, we can do better, much better. I think it was Robert Frost, in one of his poems, who suggested, when we build a fence, when we build a wall, who are we trying to fence in? And who we're trying to fence out? Wayne, I'll tell one little story, and I'll be finished. When I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, 50 miles from Montgomery, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva. And my Aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. I know here you don't know what I'm talking about. You never seen a shotgun house. But my Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. She didn't have a green manicured lawn. Had a simple, plain, dirt yard. And sometime at night, you could look up through the holes in the ceiling, through the tin roof, and count the stars. And when it would rain, she would get a pail, a bucket, or a tub and catch the rainwater. From time to time, she would walk out into the woods and take branches from a dogwood tree and tie these branches together and make a broom, and she would call that broom the brush broom. And she would sweep this dirt yard very clean, especially on a Friday or Saturday, because she wanted that dirt yard to look very good during the weekend. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. Well, you lawyers who lived in urban America all your life, other urban centers around the world, you don't know what a shotgun house is. Let me tell you what a shotgun house is. In the non-violent sense, a shotgun house is an old house, one way in, one way out, maybe a tin roof, where you can bounce a basketball through the front door, and it will go straight out the back door. Well, in the military sense, shotgun house, old house, one way in, one way out, where you can fire a shotgun through the front door, and the bullets will go straight through the back door. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. But one Saturday afternoon, a group of my brothers, sisters, and first cousins, about 12 or 15 of us young children, were playing in my Aunt Seneva's dirt yard. An unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought this old house was going to go. So she got all of us, the children, together and told us to hold hands. And as no children, we did as we were told. The wind continued to blow, the thunder continued to roll, the lightning continued to flash, rain continued to hit on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. And we cried, but we also thought the house was going to go. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation, Mom had us to walk to that side to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other side appeared to be lifting, she had us to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never left the house. Call it the house of the bar. Call it the house of New York. Call it the house of California. Call it the house of Georgia. We all live in the same house. Just maybe our foremothers and our forefathers all came to this great land in different ships. We all in the same boat now. It doesn't matter whether we are black or white or Hispanic or Asian American or Native American. We are one people. We are one family. We are one house. Not just the American house, the world house. We all must learn to live together on this little piece of real estate we call Earth. Dr. King was said, we must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish as food. Gandhi put it another way. is nonviolence or non-existence. So I say to you, don't give up. Don't give in. Don't get lost in a sea of despair. Keep the faith. Keep pushing and keep pulling. Walk with the wind. And let the rule of law in our history be your guide. Thank you very much.